Now, I talked about the combat part in the last couple of months quite frequently. However, I forgot one very important aspect of the game, and that is exploration. Now, exploration is still one of my favorite activities in the game. It's quite relaxing, and honestly, I have to thank exploration that I was able to afford some of my original expensive ships that I used to fly a long time ago. Now, in the last couple updates, they have changed exploration quite a bit. They made the sites spawn, I would say, a lot more frequent now. However, the loot does seem to be a little bit improved, but the main improvement is definitely in the spawn frequency of the sites. So today I'll be doing some exploration. I haven't done exploration in maybe 5 months. It's been a while, honestly. No, I haven't done exploration mostly because I was busy with some other things, and PvP was technically eating up most of my day in the game. But you know, from time to time, some exploration and PvE is quite fun as well. Now, I have been using this Astero. This is still basically the first Astero that I bought. This ship is kind of old now. I got it like in 2021. One of the first Asteros to be ever created in the game, and I got my hands on it. Now, the build on this ship, as you guessed, it's still the same. However, I do plan to pull out these rigs. Now, the ship, when I bought the ship, I basically bought the ship with these integrations. So the integrations are not mine. I got the ship like this for 3 billion, which is kind of cheap if you think about it. In the engineering rigs, I have some unsleep target and some gravity capacitor upgrade rigs. I have to pull out this power router because it's kind of useless since I don't do PvP with the Astero, but a long time ago I actually did some PvP with it, and I was quite successful, honestly. Can be a very interesting little boat. Now, since I have reskilled a lot, I think I have skilled out of the small missiles and out of the drones, of the small drones, so my DPS is going to be low, but the DPS isn't really important for exploration unless you plan to defend your ship if you get jumped by other players that camp the sites. But that's not going to be a big issue since I'm very careful about that. Now I have the top tier analyzers, the relic and data analyzer, and I also have the explorer wide range wave resonance. Now the Astero has a very interesting bonus for exploration. Currently the best frigate for this job is definitely the Astero, and the roll bonus, it gives you some analyzer success rate and analyzer strength. Now the strength is going to be very important, especially if you, let's say, you don't have ISK for the top tier analyzers. You can use the Astero with the cheaper rigs, with the cheaper analyzers to open the higher tier boxes because we get that extra strength, which honestly is a very nice thing to have and definitely saves a lot of ISK since you can basically get the same strength to open up the high level boxes. And they do spawn in high sec sometimes, they do spawn in low sec, and they also do spawn in null sec. I mostly scan in high sec and low sec, but sometimes I do venture in null sec. There I have some regions that are mostly quiet. And you also get a nice scan bonus on the red and blue scanner. It can be used as a combat explorer. I use it as a combat explorer in most cases to find targets in a mission, and then I use the Macarial to warp in and destroy their ship. But overall, the stats on this little boat are fantastic. Now, my current strength on the analyzer is 5, which means I should be able to open basically all boxes. And it's 5 on both. The success rate is 34.8%, and the range is 11.84 kilometers. I have a clocking device. There's also a micro warp drive and a small armor repair. The drones are, well, nothing spectacular, and the turrets, the missile launchers are also nothing spectacular. Now, besides the Astero, let me quickly pull these modules out and let me jump in the Stratus. Now, you can build the Stratus in literally the same way for exploration with literally the same rigs, and you will get about the same performance on the scanners. So the Stratus, if you are a cruiser pilot, is definitely the way to go. Now, usually how I build the Stratus for exploration is a bit, well, I would say a bit odd, but there is a very important reason why I do that. Now, this is in most cases what I would run on the Stratus. One blue scanner. Now, the red scanner is definitely going to be useful if you have multiple, let's say, pilots in local, and if you don't want to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what they're flying. You can scan, and if you can scan them, and if you see that they're in a combat ship, in a mission, or a miner, then you can just continue exploring and running the site. But if there is nothing on the scanner, and if there is no station and there is a site, then that's a good chance that they're camping the site. So it's very good to have 4 medium slot modules, because you can fit a red scanner, and basically you can find out if there is a threat in the system. Or you can carry a PvP build with you, an exploration build, so if you find something nice, if you find a good target, you can do some PvP along the way while you do exploration. So you have a bunch of options, really. But in my case, I usually run the I usually use the Astero for exploration, while my Stratos is a PvP only ship. It can be built for tank or DPS, but in most cases you want to max out that scanner performance. Now, you can technically use any other ship for this job. Doesn't have to be an Astero. They also have buffed the other exploration frigates, and I'll just quickly take a look at them. Now, the cover tops, these frigates, the cover tops frigates and the explorer frigates, are fantastic for the job, but you need to be tier 10 to fly them. So the best option, really the best option, is to go with Astero, since that ship doesn't have any tech level restrictions. If that ship is too expensive, you can find the, well, it's not here on the, yeah, it's definitely not here. You probably have the Sunensis. The Sunensis is a fantastic little bot for exploration. It has a bonus for that job, and it's also cheap, fairly cheap. So the Sunensis can be perfect for high sec. As for cruisers, the cover tops cruisers can also do that job really easily. And I would say go with the tier 7 and tier 6 tier 7 cover tops cruisers, because they are definitely much cheaper than the other high tier ones. So in the end, you really do have a lot of options for exploration. My alt does do well in that aspect, and my alt is alpha. But with that being said, let's undock and let's do some sites. Okay, well, we have our first site here,
warp drive active,
and I am warping towards it. Decayed Blood Raider Particle Accelerator. Now, a lot of pilots have been asking me how do I find so many sites. Now, I usually go into quiet regions, basically at the edge of the galaxy. I know basically where to go. I've been doing this for literally like 2 years now, 3 years now, and once you find the locations that do vary from pilot to pilot, because we all have different time zones and things like that, it's not the same for everyone. So it really depends on your location on the map in the game. and on the time zone. Usually when I go explore, it does match with the quiet time. I say quiet time, well, usually there is not much traffic where I go, only like a couple players per couple hours, because these systems are usually really quiet, and that makes them perfect for exploration. Now, someone already was doing this site, and there was
Autopilot engaged.
there's a new neutral local, so I was very fast to open the box,
Warp drive
and
active.
I was also fast to get that loot. All right, now this
Warp
is
drive
a
active.
the Blood Raider command center. Now this is a bit more of a serious site and a bit more difficult to find. But I have a good scanner. I can scan basically everything, so shouldn't be a big problem. And I am rolling towards it to see what kind of loot I'll get. Now the command center it looks very interesting. I love the Blood Raider structure there. Every pirate faction has basically different designs for the command center, so don't be surprised if you find one that looks different. But usually when I find one, I go after the mainframe, or after the more important box. And you have to be careful always to watch local, because you never know when something can pop in. So yeah, I always have the local window up, and I do refresh the local window there from time to time, because you never know when something can glitch out. Alright, well, I opened the mainframe. Let's go after the next one. My honest advice would be to start in high sec first. Start slowly, don't have to rush. And based on my experience, in high sec you can get some very good loot for very little effort actually. I got about 500 million in high sec with my alt for 15 minutes of work. And yeah, I didn't build it myself, but high sec can indeed drop some very nice stuff. And it is not dangerous to run the exploration sites in high sec because of, well, it's high sec. You can't get jumped in high sec. In low sec, it's a bit more different. It's a bit more, a bit more dangerous. But once you get used to it, once you basically find your systems that you can visit basically every day, it's honestly not a big issue. You get used to the traffic, and you basically do get to know when you can expect players to pop in. Now, in my case, since I know that around this time it's literally very quiet here and no one goes here, I can just relax and run the site without worrying. Although, just to be careful, I have the local up, so if anything comes in, I can see the local change. And this is one mistake that a lot of explorers do make. They don't look at local. Now, you have to be very careful, because in some more, let's say, populated systems, where you do get some good traffic in local, there are players that will camp the exploration sites. And you definitely don't want to be caught, because the scanners are really expensive. The price of the scanners actually went up by about 200 to 300 million. So yeah, exploration now, since it has been buffed and a little bit changed, improved, it's definitely going to affect the price of the analyzers and scanners as well. And this is a unknown rift. Well, let's not do that one. They also added a lot of these rifts that you can do. Sometimes, depending on the rift, you can do them with a cruiser, with a frigate, with a battlecruiser, battleship, and there are the new capital rifts. The new rifts are actually quite interesting. They do remind me on EVE Online a little bit. Basically, depending on the ship that you have, you might not be able to enter them. If the rift is for a cruiser, then you can't enter with a battleship and things like that. So I really do like how that works. They did do some very interesting new anomalies bound to exploration. You can get some pretty good loot inside, honestly. I haven't done one of these sites myself, because usually I don't do PvE, but I will definitely try them out just to see how things go. And that was a very a very good box there. I got a very expensive integration rig there. Now, when exploration was really fresh, basically in the first days of exploration, I was making so much ISK, it wasn't even funny. Like, I was rolling about 4 to 8 billion ISK per run on exploration, mostly because I knew where to look, and I definitely profited off that, of the first, I would say, first 2 or 3 weeks of exploration being released. I definitely profited a lot. That's how I was able to afford the expensive ships that I used to fly at the time. I do keep some of them, but most of them are sold, since I kind of changed how I fly my ships. Now I actually prefer to have them a bit more cheaper, just because it's unnecessary to have the ships ridiculously expensive. And yeah, exploration is still as relaxing as I remember it to be. It doesn't have to be, you know, giving trillions of ISK every time I undock. It does give you that sense of adventure, I guess, since you never know what you can get. And if you are in, let's say, a coalition inside Null, you 100% have some systems that are unoccupied. And I suggest, if you have some time to check out these systems with a exploration ship, perhaps you find some of these high-level, level 5 sites that can, drop some good stuff. Now, the part that I would say excites me the most about exploration are wormholes. There's a good chance that with the Yang release, which at this moment honestly can happen anytime, to be honest. They yeeted out like 8 ships in 14 days. Yeah, they can also yeet out a whole new faction in that short amount of time. So when Yang gets released, I have that theory that they will be accessible via a wormhole. That's just my guess. Basically, we'll be able to find them through wormholes, and who might be able to go and get some modules from wormholes and stuff like that. Sites in wormholes are definitely going to be interesting, because the starters will definitely be dominating there. And yes, I do plan to go there. Should be quite interesting.
Warp drive active.
We will see what they will do about that, since they did say that they have basically created the full stats of the Yang ships. They have made the design of the ship basically. So the question now is, when will they be released? I think that's the main, like, I don't know. That's my theory. I mean, I think Yang will be accessible via wormholes, or some sort of portal that is kind of bound to the other galaxy within the game, and that should be quite interesting, to say the least. Should be honestly quite exciting, if you ask me. No, so far I have noticed that I haven't blew up any box yet, and I think they have also they did some improvement on that aspect. The success rate seems to be much better than it actually shows. Now, I used to blow up boxes left and right. I don't know how that happens. Not really sure why, but that doesn't seem to happen as often. At least in this run, I haven't destroyed any box in this run so far, which is a good thing, Now, don't be surprised if you do blow up some boxes. It does happen. So, honestly, not a big deal. I know it can be really frustrating, but it's just part of the game. So yeah, it does still make me angry. I know that. It does make me angry when I blow up a box, but so far I haven't destroyed any box yet, at least in in this run here, but we will see what will happen. Famous last words. Famous last words. Now, besides the frequency of the sites being increased, I have also noticed that they have the number of the more difficult ones has been increased as well. I actually really do like that, because the more difficult ones do drop better loot. Now, I did some exploration in Evil Line, and man, let me tell you, the only difference right now that I have, that I can tell you, is the mini game. That's the main difference. The loot drops is as random as in this game. Sometimes I find 50 million from high sec, sometimes I do 80 sites and I get 8 million. So yeah, not much different from this game. The only difference is basically the way you open up the boxes. And I still wish that they do add some form of minigame while opening the boxes. I think that's definitely going to be interesting, but at the same time, I know if they do that, a lot of players would not like that. And I know that sounds contradictory a little bit, but yes, that's basically why we don't have a minigame in this game at the moment while doing exploration, because, you know, players did complain about that, so we didn't get it. I know, sounds weird, but that's just what it is. I can't make it up. That's just facts at this moment. But, you know, does allow you to focus more on what's happening in local, because I know in Evil 9, where when you get too much focused in opening a box, you can get jumped without even realizing it. So one good thing is that you don't really, you know, you're not really 100% focused in the cracking of the box. So you can basically look at the local. You can look at stuff like that. Basically, you can keep the ship safe. But, you know, there are some interesting things up ahead, definitely. I can't believe that I actually completely missed the buff on exploration. I talked about combat and PvE so much that I completely forgot about exploration, and my apologies for that. But, you know, definitely as relaxing as I remember it to be. And so far, I'm pretty good. Active. I would say I'm doing pretty well so far. But basically just undocked, picked up my status, spent like 50 minutes and already made some very decent ISK, which honestly is not that bad. If you are doing industry, you can combine exploration and industry. Basically, you can find all the necessary blueprints and materials, well, at least the most expensive ones, through exploration, and then just apply the stuff in the station. You can basically create the whole thing, which I've heard became a bit more profitable now. A lot of players that do industry have told me that now they are actually a bit more happy with how all that goes. I know the super capital manufacturing is skyrocketing right now, and manufacturing capital ship stuff is, yeah, fat wallets. Let's just say that. I have friends who do that, and they are quite happy with ISK that they're making. And of course, all the rigs, the integration rigs, all that should also go up in price, since you can apply them in the super capitals, which, you know, does give the industry side something to do, which is okay, I guess. I mean, I'm not doing industry. I have industry skills, but I don't actively do it. Although I should. I have so many blueprints. I did say this a long time ago, that I'll be making the blueprints and selling them, basically selling the modules, but I never did it. I never done it, actually. Not really sure why. Perhaps because I was too much carried away in PvP. And honestly, you should definitely try out all aspects of the game. Don't just focus on one thing, because I know if you focus on one thing, you might get burned out at the end. So doing a lot of things in the game does kind of give you enough time to, I guess, cool down from all the combat. At least that's in my case. In some ways, I think I was actually burned out from all the PvP. In some cases, but not entirely. So that's when I decided to fly the Cyan carrier, and when I decided to do some exploration. 210, 240 million, not bad actually, pretty good. A pretty good run so far, I'm not gonna complain. Since I just undocked and I already did all that, I'm not going to complain. Pretty happy with the results so far. Okay, well, let's go to the next one. Blood Raider Data Fortress. Now, I've heard that they might add NPC targets in some different exploration sites. That's gonna be fun. The status will definitely be very exciting. There's definitely so much that they can do with the exploration. Although I understand that they already are busy with a lot of other things. I wonder what the developers are actually working on at the moment. Probably the Titans. Probably the Titans. That's just my, wild guess. But we all know Titans are coming on the anniversary of the game, which is in 2 months. But we will see what will happen. Might be something else. Might be a surprise coming. Who knows? Yang Yung might be coming. I don't know. Honestly, at this moment, I wouldn't be surprised if they release Titans alongside Yang Yung. That's going to be fun. I think that's gonna be fun, honestly. I might just go and ask the developers about that question, just out of curiosity. But of course, I'm fairly sure that I am not going to be able to share the answer because, non-disclosure agreements. I'm the only content creator who, actually one of the few content creators that actually, does respect the NDA. Every other just leaks anything the second it comes out. The second they show us something that is under NDA, that's the second it gets leaked, unfortunately. That's why the developers don't trust us, but I talked about that before, so nothing I can do. I'm just like one of the few that does respect the NDA. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, that's the case. And then, they are wondering why the developers don't trust us and they don't give us anything. Well, I know that does take a lot of brain work to figure that one out, but let's talk about that another time. Now it's time to relax and enjoy the exploration here. So, honestly, this was a quite short run for the time that I had to assemble the video. So might be a bit shorter than my usual stuff, but honestly, was a really good run actually. I did not expect to find anything, to be honest. I expected, that's usually how it goes. When I expect to find something, I don't find anything. When I don't expect to find anything, I expect. I find like a lot of stuff. So was actually quite successful for the short amount of time that I had time to do this. So yeah, I can definitely say that exploration has definitely been buffed, and I would say there is still a lot of room for improvement. But for what it is right now, it does seem, I would say, okay. Now it might take a while to get used to the systems and such, but I believe eventually you won't have much problems in exploration. So I'm definitely looking forward to do more exploration. Might actually live stream exploration, could be fun. But with that being said, if you guys have any question, and if you want any advice and stuff like that about the exploration, feel free to ask me down in the comments below. I'm definitely going to be trying my best to get to the best possible answer, to give the best possible answer. If you want to support me, or if you want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe. It does help out a lot. And well, with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.